Hello, everybody, and welcome to Let's Draw. I don't know the number. Let me see what I'm up to. But in any case, what I'm going to be doing is doing a landscape. I'm going to do a digital painting in the vein of um, Bob Ross. Um, if you don't know who Bob Ross is, he had a show called The Joy of Painting, in which he painted an oil painting within 30 minutes. Sometimes he didn't really complete them, but he got pretty close. I mean, there's no doubting that the man had skill, but still, the brush, the whole technique was kind of still painty. It wasn't realistic. Um, so I'm not going to get real realistic here. I'm just going to do a mountain valley kind of grassy scene. And I haven't done this in a long time. In fact, I haven't done a Let's Draw. And this is Let's Draw number 10. I'm now looking at it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start with the sky. I've already have my layer set up here in CorelDRAW. Again, I'm not here to give you tutorials on how to use any particular um, program. I'm just here to give you some guidance on how to handle some things, because you could apply these techniques to any drawing program really that have the similar tools. Like, you couldn't do this in Windows Paint, but yeah, it, anything with these types of brushes. So what I'm going to start with is an airbrush, and I'm going to start off with my blues because we're doing the sky. I want to kind of grayish blue, I guess. It'll settle in there. There's more blue. Yeah. Okay. So we'll take that. Now, one thing, my tablet isn't really working with Corel that well. So I'm going to be, for future Let's Draws, I'm going to go to different programs. But I haven't done this in such a long time, so this is kind of a warm up. Mostly I've been drawing in pencil on paper, which I could do, but it's very difficult to do a Let's Draw on paper. I'll try it next Let's Draw and we'll see what happens. I got some fantastic things to draw, you know. Alright, so let's start off with this guy here. Effect. I have to plug in my tablet. So I'm wondering why it's not working. Make sure your tools are in place before you start doing things. Here we go. So we got our blue here. I'm just going to add this blue real quick. Gonna keep it light with this white. These are going to be the darker areas of the sky. And you just see how easy it is. And in real life, if I were doing this, I would probably do a little bit of the same thing, but it would require a little bit more mixing of the paint. You could do liquid clear in oil painting, and that will give you this effect. Because Bob Ross used to do wet on wet paintings, which means that stuff didn't dry, and he painted the whole thing. And normally you don't do that with oil paintings. You have to let some of the layers dry. So what you want to do is really get this in. Kind of mix it around. Let's see. Just the hardness settings and the size and the opacity. So we're really going to start blending that in. It's going to start looking a little wispy, but you're going to start seeing clouds just appearing right into the landscape. And it was a while ago that somebody requested that I do some sort of background, so because I really haven't done it. Just going to lift this up. You can already see it's kind of a cloudy shape. Let's see. We will take the step down. So I already feel like a little bit of Bob Ross because he instantly made clouds appear out of oil paint. So we'll just bring this down a little bit. Alright, so now we have kind of a cloudy texture going on here. The next, you know what? I messed up my layers. I painted on the mountains layer, but that's okay. With digital painting, you can do that. I can just rename my layer to sky and this to mountains. Now with this, I'm going to take the paintbrush, and this time we're going to make it a little bit more purple, but we're also going to make it a lot darker. Alright, and we're going to enlarge the brush. We're going to kind of swish this down real thick like that. And then we're going to take the opacity down and do it again. These are not going to really look like anything right now. I just want to get the color on the canvas here. It's kind of funny calling this canvas. And with the smudge brush, I'm going to take it again, and we're going to, except this time, I really want to adjust the hardness so that the hardness is way up there, because you don't want really too much of a soft border on this, and we'll take care of this stuff. And I'm going to increase the step this time. Maybe I'm not. I'll take the opacity down, take the step back down to 9, and the size a little bit down. Alright. So we don't have the hard edge that we want yet. It's going to create some misty looking mountains here. Almost looks like the clouds are coming down on this. I'll lift that color right back up. Increase the brush size again. And bring that opacity back up, because that'll help get the color really out there. And our mountains are kind of taking shape. You want them natural. You don't want just triangle mountains. That'd be kind of silly looking. You know how kids, just like if they're going to draw a mountain, that thing turns into a triangle. Alright, so now this takes a little bit of adjustment because you're really pushing the colors around. And we're going to hard edge these in a little bit. And you'll start to see mountains take shape. You really want to go with some sort of grain so that the mountains keep their mountainy shape. I'm not going to call them happy mountains, nor will I call anything a happy forest where a little happy squirrel lives. So just taking that in there. I'll take some of this dark purple. Now, it's not really dark. It can get darker, and we'll take care of that very shortly. Just find the grain, mix that in. The edges are not going to matter much. Alright. So, these couple of mountains are really taking shape. They kind of vanish off into some mist in the valley. kind of lift these colors up, try to form natural shapes. Nature doesn't like straight edges. You're very hard pressed to find natural straight edges. I mean, they exist, but in the overall picture, there are no straight lines in nature. Like there are I forgot what they're called, but they're in England or Ireland. There's kind of these hexagon things. Yeah, they look straight from a distance, but if you get up close to them, those things are jagged on the edges everywhere, so they're not really totally straight. I think they're kind of a basalt formation, but I don't remember what the name of it was. So the mountains are really kind of coming together here. That hard edge is starting to take place. Let's just bring it down. There's a whole school, there's a Bob Ross school where they teach you how to paint the way he painted, and it's pretty neat. The only problem is he does not use a standard oil paint mix. He used a very thick, almost dry sort of oil mix. So you could pick his brand of paint up, but you have to thicken it. I think if you add in, I'm trying to think of the name of what it is. Basically, let your uh, oil paints dry quicker. Look at that little mist coming down here. I can't think of the name of it now. There's linseed oil and there's this. Linseed oil will make your paint more runny with oil. Liquid. Liquid is what I'm thinking of, yes. So if you add that, it'll thicken your pigments up and allow your paints to dry quicker. However, he still just used a very thick, dry paint. Alright, so our mountains are really taking shape. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the light and darken tool. I'm going to... I've been doing that lately. Just shoving toolbars around. I'm a big toolbar bully. There we go. I'll redock that. I'm going to take the opacity down. Size is coming up. I'm really going to darken this edge here. And I'm going to have to reblend it. So only one side of the mountain needs to be darkened because there's going to be some sort of light over here. And I can mess this up, and it won't draw because it's on a different layer. So yeah, I'm just taking that, darkening it up. I'll take the smudge tool and really get that in. I probably won't complete this within 30 minutes. We're already 13 minutes into it, but 30 minutes now. So, yeah. I just want to see if this was possible. I never really done this. I mean, I've done coloring, I've done digital painting, but never really landscapes or anything like that. Decrease the size so we get a little bit more detail in the ridges. So we're really taking this dark down and creating the crevasses. The crevasses of the world. So I hope you're all enjoying my Let's Draw series. I hope you're all enjoying my Minecraft series. I've also been playing Dragon Nest. which is an okay game. It's very actiony. It's very different, but the caveat is it is a Nexon game and it's free to play and you pay for everything else. You kind of look like you almost have no specialization unless you buy it. You know, everybody looks the same. And a little bit of customization in the character looks, but not a whole hell of a lot. So just blend those dark areas in, bring them up. We have some good natural looking mountains. Alright. Bring the brush down a little bit more in size. And that means I gotta bring the opacity up to really drag these colors out. This is gonna create a finer detail. I want to bring the opacity back down. And blend that in. You don't want it to be too sharp if the rest of it's not sharp. And somebody asked me in one of my videos, why do you sound like you're always out of breath? And at first I was like, I don't want to have to explain this. Then I was like, what's the big deal? I used to smoke. I've actually been on and off smoking. And I've been smoking for a long time, and I have to say one thing: don't ever do it. First of all, if you're thinking about starting smoking, there's no reason to smoke ever. It is just bad. But I've been smoking since I was 17, 18. That's over half my life now, you know. And it's destroyed me in some ways. And when I quit, I do get my breathing back, and I can do more. But I still have issues with breathing, especially when my allergies come around. So if you hear like I'm taking a breath after everything I say, that's a result, you know. And a lot of times I'll just have a sneezing fit before I start a video, and it's like, oh, and then I'm really bad off, you know. But that's the reason why I'm such a weird breather. I hope it doesn't bother you. It bothers me, I'll tell you that. I wish I'd never picked up a cigarette in my life. And I could say, well, my dad smoked and I blame it on him, but I won't blame it on anybody but myself for keeping going. You know, my dad used to be a heavy smoker and he quit. I messed that up. But there's always repairing mistakes when you're doing a digital painting. Alright, I think we've done enough little detail on our mountains. Like I said, Bob Ross would just go scrape, 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 and mountain, and that would be that. I'm just going to take the lighten tool now. I'm going to reverse that. And it's going to be very subtle. Take the opacity down. I'm just going to kind of take these places at the tops of the mountain, really give them a whitening. Not really snow cap, but just kind of bare stone. I really have to bring that size down. Bring the opacity up. So I hope you're enjoying this. This is fun. For me, anyway. I don't know if it's fun for you guys. And I hope you're learning something. But these, like I said, these tools are available on most major drawing programs. And it's easier for me to do it on Corel because I know Corel, it's what I've been using for so many years. Because I couldn't afford Adobe until I got into college a couple of years ago. And basically, I got major discount on the student teacher edition, but I'm allowed to use the master edition otherwise through the school, and it's pretty cool. But I can't keep it. I've, I've got a limited time with it, but it's such a great program. And I wish I could use After Effects, but I don't have a 64-bit operating system. So I'm taking the blending tool again. I'm taking some of these sharper edges that the lighten tool had created and kind of smudging them down. Alright, I'll take this down here. So there's my mountains within 20 minutes. I'm going to go a little bit longer with this. And we're going to do some hills and trees. What we're going to do for that is we're going to take the yellowish green, which is the most saturated of the colors. But I'm going to take some blue into it. And it's going to really fade that out. But it can't go over the green number. Then it won't be green anymore. If I go over the green, it starts turning more blue. Then it'll be a bluish green rather than a greenish blue. Weird, but that's how RGB works. Alright, so I'm going to take that. We really want this background kind of prairie color faded back there. You don't want it too prevalent. Things, as they get further back in the atmosphere, get more faded out by air vapor, and it kind of turns a purplish. So when I start blending this, you'll see that these mountains are going to start shining through here in the purple. And you got to be careful because the planes are going to go left and right. But up against the mountains, you got to be careful not to really make them look out of place. You don't want too much rising above the mountains. You want to get rid of a lot of this white here. So what I'll do is, this is probably going to take about an hour. But I'll cut it in a few minutes so the video's not too long and you don't lose interest. But the result is going to be interesting. And then we're going to throw kind of a brighter green. Oop, stuff is kind of shining through here. Why is I was getting a GIMP icon through here? I think that's because I moved the Camtasia marker for the screen. I forgot to lock it down. Alright, so that's really blended in. Get rid of most of this white. What I could do is drag some of the purple down from the mountains and kind of blend it in that way. Another way to do this is to take the blending tool, use all layers, and you're going to really blend these two in. But that's a dangerous proposition because if you mess it up, you're really messing up your colors on both layers. So just kind of mash those together, and then I'm going to use only that layer. Got a few more minutes left. I'm going to lay down the basic color for the closer up planes, which are still going to be a bluish green. I have to fix these mountains in the background. They've taken on too much shape. Of the planes. Yeah, I got lost in a thought there, so it took me a while to complete a sentence. I'll drag this up here. Kind of blend it up here as it's coming down the mountain. It'll be coming down the mountain when it comes. It'll be coming down the mountain when it comes. Yeah, I'm gonna sing to you. This is what you need. Just draw, Gary. Shut up. Shut up. Oh God, you're a horrible singer. If you ever watch Venture Brothers, the henchman. God, make it stop. Of course, that's a horrible impression. Alright, so almost done blending this. I'm gonna cut the video and we'll continue it in part 2 of this landscape painting digital. So you can really see the ground kind of taking shape. The most difficult part is definitely getting the edges right against the mountain, because the mountains are one shape, the plains are coming down into a flatter shape, and you don't want them to conflict too much. And there are ways to hide that. I'm going to be adding a little bit of trees to this part of the layer. So, in fact, we're going to add another layer, and we're going to call that 4 hills and trees. And that'll come before the foreground. Alright, so we're going to stop this here and pick up on part 2. I'll see you soon.